Beter de wereld met vork en mes. Mijn naam is Esther Molenwijk en dit is Studio Plantaardig. Today's guest is based in the United States, and even though I always meet my guests face to face, I just had to make an exception for this lady because she is so brave and creative that I just had to share her story with you. Her name is Molly Elwood, and she runs an organic family dog meat farm in Oregon, US. Yes, you heard it right, a dog meat farm. With a lot of passion and with respect for the animals, she makes a whole range of premium products such as Labrador Steaks and Chihuahua arms. How does she do this? And are dogs meant to be eaten? For those of you who feel a bit ambiguous about this, hang in there, guys, because Molly's story is a truly extraordinary one. For those of you who prefer watching the conversation, we will also release this interview on video. So go to our website studioplantaardig.nl and click on episode 44. So hello, Molly.
Hi, nice to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Happy you could join us. I know life is busy on a family farm.
It is. It's a long day. We get up really early before the sun, and it sometimes goes really late, but I wanted to make time to talk to you.
Fantastic, thanks. So let's get into this family part first, because Elwood Dog Meat is a family business. Can you tell me, how does the story begin?
Yes. So we've been run since 1981. We're a family farm here in the U.S., but we do have some farms in other countries as well. But the starting point was just my step-uncle was raising dogs for himself for meat in his backyard, and he started sharing with his friends and neighbors, and they discovered that they really liked being able to connect with their food where it comes from. So he started selling at the farmers markets, and my husband Landon and I decided to quit our jobs about 5 years ago and join him and really helped him expand. So we're the ones who helped put it on social media and, start making like stickers and shirts and stuff to try and promote it. And so we've just been doing this ever since.
So you haven't grown up on the family farm?
Not me personally. No, actually, I used to be vegan, but I found that I wasn't getting enough protein. I just wasn't doing, I didn't do any research, and I was feeling kind of sick. So I just decided I would just start eating meat again. And this seemed like a good choice because it was humane and it was compassionate.
Humane, yeah. So this is a point I really would like to get
Yes.
into, because first of all, I was a bit puzzled. I'm like, dogs are pets, right?
Some dogs are pets, but these are not pets. These dogs were raised for this. They have generation after generation of meat dogs. So no, they're not pets. They do not have names. They do not,
So what is the difference between like a pet dog and a livestock dog?
That's a complicated question, but I think that we could just say that if the dog was raised on the farm, it's a meat dog. If it's in your home, it's a pet. So we do have companion dogs. We have companion German Shepherds.
Do?
Yes, we have two of them, Millie and Mark. They are light of my life, but they're pets. We don't eat them.
You would never eat those?
Not a German Shepherd. No, those are friends, not food. But I think the difference is just unexplainable.
Well, Molly, let's have a look into you made this like brilliant 1-minute movie about your farm,
Yeah.
and I suggest I put that in first so the listeners and the viewers can get an idea of your farm.
Wonderful, thank you.
For over 20 years, the tradition of providing wholesome dog meat to local families and beyond began with our step-uncle. His passion for a sustainable family farm was instilled in us. Taste and tradition, quality and friendly service is what our family has strived to offer our customers since 1981. Now with over 50 different dog meat and dairy products to choose from, you can find us at local grocery stores, farmers markets, or come visit us here at Elwood Farms to experience the amazing flavor of fresh, local dog meat. With our hands-on approach, we strive to produce high-quality dog products every day, from the way we care for our packs through to production and distribution. Great tasting dog is simple. We care. Elwood Dog Meat. We're a family farm.
So Molly, it really looks like a lovely farm you're running, but still, I would like to get in this. Like, dogs are really clever, right?
I mean, Some of them are. I don't know if you've met a Shar Pei. They're just not as much. There's not as much there. Also, pigs are much smarter. So,
Oh, really?
yes, yes. So, I mean, in the scale of things, if you want to eat things based on intelligence, you should probably be eating dog before you're eating pigs. Um, but again, yeah, the Chihuahuas are. We won't get into it. I don't want to offend anybody with talking about dogs' intelligence, but yeah.
but you're not you don't have the Chihuahua is very high up in your standards.
No, no, especially in large groups. They're just kind of mindless, you know.
Are they like cute?
I mean, they're cute the way that a chicken is cute or the way that, a pig is cute, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're on my plate. So, it's nice that they're cute and
Mm.
delicious.
So Molly, um, nowadays there's a lot of talk about animal welfare. That's
Right.
like a really important things because customers really want to be able to eat their
Right.
meals guilt
Mhm.
free. So I'd really love to hear from you. What do you do to ensure the welfare of these
Oh,
dogs?
well, for one, they all have access to pasture. So they are free range. We do not have cages. We do keep the smaller breeds in large sheds, but they all have space to turn around about the space of their body. So that's, following the rules that we have here in the US. Um,
So they're just able to turn their body within the
Yeah,
cage.
within the space, they're large. Like it would be, I don't know if you've ever seen like a shed of turkeys or anything, and they're all just kind of crammed in there. That's how our dogs are. But I mean, crammed is perhaps the wrong word. Again, they each are allotted the amount of space for their body. So, I mean, wouldn't that seems like enough for a human as well? You just need room to, turn a little. So, and then there is a door, and so those closest to the door could leave if they wanted to. And they have bedding and heat and water and everything that they would need to have a fulfilling life.
Yeah. Would you actually describe this as a good life? I have to say I'm a bit skeptical.
I mean, if you disagree with that, I feel like you shouldn't be eating animals. Like if you don't agree with that amount of space, because that's the typical space we're following all the rules according to USDA guidelines. So, um, if there's a problem with not, if you think that that's treatment is not okay, I
Mm.
mean,
Let's talk about the products that you're making.
yes.
Because what I found quite astonishing, and I've never actually seen this on, let's say, a pig farm, is that you have so many different breeds and so many different products that you make of them. Like I said, like the Labrador steaks, right?
Yes, yes.
Can you go a bit through the offering which you're
Right,
making?
right. Yeah, sure. So we do offer a variety of breeds, and it's just, to feed everybody's appetite for different types of meat. So we do have Labrador steaks, we have pug bacon, we have Chihuahuas, um, we have Corgi, which is fabulous, especially around the holidays. We do Sea Spaniel and Dachshund for sausages. And we also blend the Dachshund with a variety of other breeds in order to really get a really good mouthfeel. So I mean, just like any other family farm, we offer a variety of cuts. We have steaks, we have roasts, we have legs, we have, we do also. You can get a discount by buying whole, half, or quarter animals, and which is really great to split with a neighbor. If you wanted a Rottweiler for Christmas, but you just couldn't really afford a full one, you could get a half with your neighbor and save a lot.
Aha, aha. So you can even like buy a whole dog, but I suppose they're slaughtered
Yes,
before
yes,
you
they're
buy them,
slaughtered and
right?
clean. You don't have to they're all packaged
Yeah,
neatly in white paper. You don't have
yeah.
to,
Aha, aha.
look at your food.
Go through
Yeah.
that yourself.
But we do have a DIY harvest event. And so if you were interested in learning how to process your own dog, you can either bring your own backyard dog or choose one of ours. And we do these family friendly events once on I believe it's the first Saturday of every month. So it's kind of a messy event, but it's really fun and it's
it
really good.
sounds it
Yeah.
sounds like really, really messy to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's messy, but it's wholesome and it allows you to know where your food comes from.
Mm, mm. Well, there's actually one more thing I did want to discuss with you,
Yeah.
and that's again not the thing we're too happy about, of course,
Mm.
and that's something that always comes along when we're talking about meat. the day that the dogs are ready for slaughter. I
Yes.
mean, how do you feel about that yourself? Like taking the
Oh,
lives of these dogs.
yeah, it is really rough. I'm not going to lie and say that it's easy. I mean, but that is part of farming. It's not an easy job. We raise these animals from beginning, from the beginning to their end, and we spend every day with them. And sometimes you do have favorites, but I mean, at the end of the day, it would be disrespectful to not allow them to serve out their purpose. And so we do our best to give them their one bad day, making it as good as possible. We move them to the holding pen for slaughter, a few hours ahead, so they have time to calm down and get used to their surroundings. When we lead them into slaughter, we do them one at a time so they don't see each other being slaughtered. So and then it is a pretty harmless process, just one cut across the neck or a bolt depending on their size and breed. Yeah, so I mean, it is.
Does it ever make you
Oh,
sad?
sometimes. I mean, there are good days and bad days, some when you're doing 50, 60 chihuahuas at once, you really just zone out, and it is just a job. It's just a production line, and we're just doing them as quickly as possible. Some of the larger breeds, it is harder. Some of the times that I actually have to step out and I have to make sure that Landon does it himself because I can't personally do it. But again, it's the burden of the farmer, and that's one of the things that we're always trying to say is when you support your farmer, you're helping me. Your money helps me feel better.
And still, Molly, I know that there are quite some people still very much opposed to the idea of dog meat.
Yes.
You've even had some like backlash from animal extremists, as
Yes.
I've heard.
Yes.
That must have been quite frightening, actually.
Yeah, it is really scary. Some
Yeah.
people threaten to burn down my business. They want to come to my barns. They want to find my family. Um, I mean, on the low scale, they just want to report me, and they've taken down our Instagram account. I have to rebuild my Instagram
Oh
account. I had
God. Oh
15,000
God.
followers, and I have to rebuild it now because these
Oh God.
extreme anti-dog meat people are thinking they
Yeah.
know better than me.
Yeah. So what would you say to them?
I mean, I would say to them, if you have a problem with what we do on our farm, where we follow all the rules and we do everything by the book, if you have a problem with that, perhaps maybe you shouldn't be eating animals at all. Maybe this is a realization for you that this is not what you want to support with your money. Or I advise you to come visit our farm without, your weapons that you're threatening to bring with you and see how
Mm-hmm.
we do it. And then maybe you'll change your mind
Mm-hmm.
and see that this is completely
Mm-hmm.
humane and ethical.
Molly, I think this is the part
Yeah.
where I have to ring the bell because I can't deal with this any
I know,
longer.
I know. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I wish I would have studied to be an actress. I guess I guess we managed for almost 10
Yes, it
minutes.
was great. It was great. You did great.
I guess we have to tell the listeners that this is all a big bunch of satire
Yes,
and that it's actually not true.
not true.
The whole family farm isn't there.
No, no family
No.
farm. There are no dogs. I don't even have a dog.
You don't eat dogs, you don't slaughter dogs,
And
you don't even have one.
no, I don't even have a dog. No.
So, Molly, what is Elwood's dog meat?
Elwood's Organic Dog Meat is a vegan activism campaign. I have the website elwooddogmeat.com, and I try and drive people to it through social media and through, billboard ads or things, posters in the wild. And the website will bring people on the same journey that we just went on, where I will tell you all the good things we do for our dogs on the farm. And as you scroll down and get more and more upset, it asks you, why are you upset? Would it make you feel better if this was pig meat? And then reveals that perhaps if this is making you angry, maybe you shouldn't be eating animals at all.
Yeah, yeah. So it's actually a way to make people aware
Yep.
of the speciesism actually,
Right.
yeah, about how they're distinguishing between the different
Exactly.
types
Yeah,
of
definitely.
yeah. It's well, I would encourage everyone to go to this website because it's really so cleverly done. I'm wondering, how did you get to this crazy idea?
So it's so funny. It started out just with an idea for a bumper sticker. I'm vegan, my husband's vegan, and we were sharing a car, and I wanted a good vegan bumper sticker, and I didn't see one that I liked. And my husband and I were going back and forth about what the funniest not the funniest. I shouldn't say funniest. What was the most effective idea? And this was the funniest one that I thought was also effective. And we came up with Elwood dog meat. And Elwood's our last name. And we just thought it would be funny if it said Elwood dog meat. And then next to it, it said, if this makes you mad, perhaps you should be vegan. And it just ended up being like, well, what if I made a website for it? And then I said, well, what if I put it on social media? And then it really took off. And now I'm a dog meat farmer 2 years later.
Yeah. So between this crazy idea that you were having going back and forth, and actually printing the bumper sticker, was there? I mean, did you have to gain a lot of courage to do this?
I don't know. I felt like I don't know. I'm so passionate about the subject, and I think that's such an indefensible argument that I didn't really think about it. But we did put the bumper sticker on a magnet, so you could take it off. Like it's one of those really big door ones. It's really big. It looks like my truck. We have a pickup truck, and it looks like the truck is delivering dog meat.
Oh yeah, really.
So when we pull up to a place, we'd pull it off real quick and.
So are there specific neighborhoods or specific times of day that you don't want to have to sign on?
Yes, we don't drive around at night. We don't drive around where people are drunk. We went to Nashville once, and we were driving in Nashville, and we had 2 on either side of the car, and I was so excited because there's so many people walking down the street, so many tourists. But then as we realized how many there were and how inebriated they were, that we went, it just takes one person to come over, and then all of them come over, and you can't explain to everyone that it's not real. So we got out and took them off.
But do people actually get mad when they see this logo? Elwood's dog meat?
Yes, they do. So the the magnet is big enough. It says local. It's very clear that it's selling dog meat. Some people when the message is shorter, they want to think, oh, this is meat for dogs. But this says humanely slaughtered. It shows a steak on a plate. It has, available by whole, half animal, that kind of thing. And so I will have people in traffic, give me a dirty look, flip me off. They will. I've had a woman in a parking lot chase me through the parking lot, banging on the side of my truck, trying to get me to stop. But at the same time, as I also have had a lot of people look at it and then give me a thumbs up. They looked at, I was stuck at a train stop and somebody was behind me and I saw them get out their phone and take a picture and then scroll on their phone. And then they looked at me through the rearview mirror and gave me a thumbs up. And I was just like, yay.
Yeah, because I guess as soon as people start scrolling through your website, in the beginning it's really like a perfect dog meat ad. But once you really get to the bottom, you see that it's not real, right? And what the actual aim is. Yeah. But the question is how many people actually make it to the bottom before they get really upset.
Well, what's really great about it is even if they don't make it, even if they think it's real, they're going to then talk about it because it's so upsetting. So they will talk about it with their friends. And even if they never figure out the truth, this is a conversation they should be having. They're eating dogs. Can you believe they're eating dogs? Well, what's the problem with eating dogs? Does this bother you? Why does this bother you? And even not knowing, I think that's such a good seed to be planted.
Actually, we did a little bit of a test ourselves.
Oh, wow.
In this podcast, we always do what we call the vegan vox pop, is where we go into the streets and we ask people about the subject that's going to be in the next episode. So this time we obviously had a blast because together with our street interviewer Ernie van Dalen, I went to the park in Hoorn, which is the north of the Netherlands, and we pretended to do market research for you, Molly, regarding a dog meat farm, and we showed people your 1-minute movie, which I've just shown also in this video. And then afterwards, we've asked them, whether they would eat it. And I will play the Vox Pop right now, and then we can discuss it later.
All right.
De Vegan Vox Pop.
Zou je het eten?
Never.
Waarom niet?
Een hond is voor mij een huisdier. Die aaibaar is, die voor veel mensen heel veel vreugde geeft. Dienstbaarheid, zorg. Ja, ik kan me daar niet in vinden. Nee.
Nou zijn dit geen huisdieren. Deze honden zijn vee en worden specifiek gefokt voor de vleesproductie. Dat doen we overigens wel heel duurzaam. We doen dat zonder antibiotica. Er is vrije uitloop. We trekken ons echt het leven van de dieren gedurende die periode aan.
Sorry, ik kan me er totaal niet in vinden. Ik krijg weerstand. Om een stuk van een hond op tafel te zetten en dat we dat gaan eten, ik kan me er totaal niet in vinden. Ik voel gewoon ontzettend veel weerstand. Het is zo'n diep gevoel van binnen. Ik denk dat het moraal, ethisch, ik denk dat dat mijn antwoord voor mij niet verantwoord is.
En dat is anders als bij een koe of een varken.
Daar heb ik dat eigenlijk ook al. Maar de koeien, daar ben ik mee opgegroeid. Dat was ook het brood op de plank van mijn ouders. Die 11 kinderen daar moest eten op tafel voor komen. En een hond was ons huisdier, ons vriendje. Dit past niet in mijn plaatje. Niet in mijn perceptie, het kan gewoon niet.
Nou, ik zou niet zo snel hond eten, nee. Nee.
Maar wel koe of varken.
Ja, wel coole varken, ja.
Wat is eigenlijk het verschil?
Ja, dat ligt eigenlijk altijd al in de supermarkt, dus je weet niet beter. Ik denk dat honden toch wel een dier zijn die niet voor de slag bedoeld is. Maar er is natuurlijk wel wat voor te zeggen waarom we die keuze maken.
En wat is dat?
Nou ja, dat weet ik dus niet. Ik heb er zo niet over nagedacht. Kijk, wij zijn opgevoed met het idee dat een hond een huisdier is. En dat dat een huisvriend is. En niet met, dat is ook een stuk wat je meekrijgt in je opvoeding. Wat wel of niet als huisdier telt.
En de duurzaamheidsredenen.
Nou, als dat inderdaad duurzamer is dan koeienvlees bijvoorbeeld. En mensen willen toch vlees eten. Ja, dan zou ik niet weten waarom niet.
Ja.
Dus ik denk dat dat ook wel een bewuste keuze moet zijn. Ja, wil je vlees eten of niet? Als je vlees wil eten en je wil duurzaam zijn, ja, dan zou je toch moeten kijken naar een vleessoort die ook duurzaam gefokt kan worden.
No way dat ik dat zou eten.
En waarom niet?
Omdat dat heel hypocriet voor mij niet voelt als... ik ben opgegroeid met honden. En ik ben ook wel een beetje opgegroeid met koeien. Maar ja, die hebben toch een andere connotatie of zo. Ik weet het niet. Dat is wel heel hypocriet, ik hoor het mezelf zeggen. Dat klopt ook niet. Maar dit zet me wel heel erg aan denken. Ja. En ik denk dat dat jullie doel ook is. Ja. Holy fuck. Dit is echt heel erg heftig.
Ja, ik zie dat je emotioneel wordt. En wat is dat dan?
Jezus. Nou, ik heb ook denk ik inmiddels een fles wijn in mijn mix zitten. Dus dat scheelt ook. Maar dit is fucking confronterend. Ja. Holy smack.
En waarom vind je deze campagne zo heftig?
Omdat het echt in your face is. Ja. Dit is echt in your face.
Wat voel je dan?
Schaamte tot op het bot. Ja. Mijn bot in dit geval.
Waar schaam je je dan voor?
Nou, we hebben net Kate Kotti gehad dat we gewoon voor alles en iedereen elkaar moeten openstellen. En dat vind ik heel normaal en dat begrijp ik. En kennelijk vind ik het dus heel normaal dat we koeien eten, dat we varkens eten. En vind ik het van een hond totaal idioot dat je met dit voorstel komt. Nou, dat is wel even in my face.
Je hebt daar nooit zo over nagedacht?
Nee, dus dankjewel voor dit inzicht. Holy fuck, wat confronterend.
All right, so Molly, obviously that was in Dutch, but I've sent you the subtitles,
Yes.
a transcription of this beforehand. What's your first response?
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I especially like the person who was inebriated saying, "Oh my gosh, this is too much. This got me to the bone." I mean,
Oh yeah, the last lady.
yeah. I think especially if they've been drinking, the feelings they're so genuine. You can't get over how this hits you in the gut, and you're like, oh, the fact that they said they were shamed is very interesting.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. I went along, and it was quite interesting. Like within a minute, I saw like the whole process going on in her brain, and she was thinking about Katie Cotty, which is like celebrating the end of slavery, and then she was connecting this. So it's outrageous how fast this goes. Actually, what a success you have with this.
Watching people get emotional about it when they do make the connection. I had somebody in Chicago at Vegandale. He was not vegan, but his partner was vegan. And he said to me, he started to get teary-eyed. He said, I didn't understand the scale of what I was buying into until I saw it like this, and I realized, how animals are treated, that I don't agree with it. And his eyes, he got all
Yeah.
teary-eyed, and I was just like, good luck, girlfriend. Sending him to having these conversations with him is going to be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, but then I can imagine not everyone like turns around
Yeah.
that quickly. Like for instance, that second guy
Mhm.
or the second person in the interview
Mhm.
was quite interesting. He kind of tweaked it the other way. He was saying like, so if we eat pigs, why not dogs?
Yeah.
Rather than saying if we don't eat dogs, why would we eat pigs?
Right.
He turned it the other way around. Do you have this response also?
I do, and I think that there are some people that this works for, and for some people are so sensitive about animals that when they make the connection, it it is the connection we want them to make. They're going, oh my gosh, I care for my cat. I do not want to eat animals. And then other people are going, I'm kind of indifferent. I'm indifferent to animals, and why not eat them all? And I have to say that before me going vegan, before going vegetarian, I was that way. I thought all animals were equal, and I didn't think that there was a problem with eating any of them. And I think that what happened for me is that my switch flipped when I realized how much I cared for all animals. And then it's so maybe a person who is like that, who is saying, why not a pig? Why not a dog? Maybe they're also one step closer by, leveling them all together. All it takes is a warm experience with one animal for them to go, oh my gosh, all animals are all animals,
I understand. And then there was this first lady I was really like feeling her resistance, and it was such a sweet lady. But she was almost well, she was too lovely to attack us, but she would have done it. She was like really, she couldn't grasp it, and I can imagine you get this resistance as well.
Right, right. So yes, I definitely interact with a lot of people whom just the concept alone is so agitating that they can't even deal with it. And the conversation generally ends very quickly with them. You try to hand somebody like that a flyer, they shut down and they walk away. They will not even hold it in their hand. And I think that is very powerful. I mean, even just that this is trapped in this person's mind is helpful.
So you are actually a creative strategist, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
an advertising specialist. Can you explain me how does this work psychologically? That people have such a problem with this.
Well, I mean, you've got the initial draw in of it looks like an advertisement. Then you have this experience of, well, this must be food for dogs. And then when they realize it's not, the emotions take over before you can for a lot of people, your emotions take over before you can logically figure out that it's fake. Like for me, I've been in this for so long, I don't even understand how anyone can believe it's real. I'm just come on. But I think that for a lot of people, the emotions take over, and it's really an emotionally driven campaign that allows people to go on this journey by themselves. You don't even need a vegan to be there to explain it to them. They're going to go on this journey of why am I not okay with this? And what does that mean? And I think that is how this campaign also has so much potential to go viral, is because people share it when they're emotional before they have thought through it, or they have thought through it and it's funny to them. Some people find it very funny, and so they share it. And so I think because it strikes people in so many different ways, and it's so interesting, and it also it removes this conversation about veganism being about you. Why aren't you making a change? And it becomes about the idea. And then when it's not about my choices, is that making sense? Like, if you're not attacking me as a person saying, what are you eating? You're saying, why don't we as a people eat animals? I can be less defensive, I guess.
Yeah. So you feel like that's going on too much in the vegan advocacy corner that we're trying to.
I don't think it is. I think we need all kinds of advocacy. I don't think there's one right way. And I think that this is just one more tool that we can try. Like we said, some people it doesn't work for. Some people call me up, and I know they're joking, or maybe they're not. I don't know. I have people call and say they want to order it. And, this is not.
Honestly,
Yes.
How many orders have you had?
Oh, thousands. And again,
Honestly.
you don't know if they're joking. I assume most of them are being funny, but people do eat dogs, so it's not far-fetched to think that people would order it.
Uh-huh. Because did I understand correctly? You do have a phone number on your website, but you don't actually answer the phones. You just have a voicemail going on there,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So you just get a lot of voice messages.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into some of your voice messages later. There's something else I wanted to discuss with you, which is your communication and the texts that you use. Did I understand correctly that you use exactly the same phrases as real family farms do?
Yes. The majority of my posts come from Instagram posts of farmers. So I spend a lot of time going through farmer Instagram and finding the most horribly offensive to me. Today we said goodbye to 825. They lived a good life, and now they'll fulfill their purpose of being on my plate. And it shows her with a pig. So I just do the
No
same
way.
thing, and I have her holding a dog, and I just copy paste and I put it on my thing. And when you switch it with a dog, it becomes so offensive. And it is so funny how I now see all meat advertisements through this lens and be like, if it was a dog, people would be outraged. So I know I could be writing my own content, but I also don't want farmers to say that they're exaggerating. I don't want them saying that vegans are not telling the truth. I'm going, no, if I say it exactly the same way you say it, what's your defense? You have to talk then about eating animals, and you don't get into all the other arguments.
So basically, you just take the text of a farmer and you replace the word pig by the word dog.
Yep. And similar, the website is all built from. I looked at a bunch of family farms websites, and I just took what they said, and ordered it the way that I wanted it to.
You must have had such a lot of fun doing this.
It was so fun, and it's so interesting because, up until this, vegan activism is really dark. You're seeing horrible things, and when you see what farmers are saying, it is horrible and sad. But the joy of turning their own words against them it's just joyful.
Something I find also quite interesting is that you refer to your customers as our friends and neighbors, or family. So we're making wholesome food for our friends and family. You never say like for our customers or for the supermarket clients.
No.
Why is this?
Oh, I just like thinking that, and I'm sure it's the same in the Netherlands too. You have these family farms who are, maybe they only have 50 animals, and they are only selling them to their friends and neighbors, and they are only selling at the farmers markets and at the one shop on the corner. And something about that feels, if you're halfway there to caring about animals, this is what you want to support. You want to be able to go visit the farm, and I want to pet the cow and go, this cow was taken care of. This is great. But
we knew where he used to live.
Yes, exactly. And it's so funny that even people can get that close to the animal and still not connect it until it's like, if it were a dog that was just sitting on your porch and you're like, well, he had a great life, didn't he? Now it's dinner time. It's horrible. So I really wanted to make this as small as possible and feel really homey. And also, I try to do that with all of my posts, and most of my content has this kind of rough, authentic feel. It's not polished. It's not done by an ad agency. It feels real.
You are apparently in advertising, and you can really see how it's done with such a lot of feel and perfection. So yeah, that is really great. So the impact. I'm curious to hear about the impact. Let's first talk about the positive responses that you've had. Have you had people actually saying that this has made them gone vegan or consider veganism?
Yes. I think that's the most exciting part. Is I get messages all the time, or I see it in comments. And while, it is, uncertain if they mean this, but it is somebody saying, oh my God, I'll never eat meat again. Or, oh my God, I never thought about it this way. Or I will get messages. I got a message recently that somebody said, I just wanted to say a year ago, I saw one of your posts, and since then I've gone vegan, and thank you so much. And I still follow along. Or, I've been following your page for a year and I've cut out eggs and meat or something like that. And I do have a voicemail that I've shared on YouTube, which was a woman who called back 3 times. The first time she calls and she goes, "How do you do this? How do you raise dogs? That's interesting." The second time she goes, "Oh, I get it. It's a joke. Haha." Third time she calls, she goes, "Oh, I get that this is actually not funny at all. And I realize what you're doing. And I've never even considered veganism before. It's always been a joke. But now you've shown me why people are vegan and I will consider it seriously." And I mean, between all the death threats and they're like, "This is stupid, you should stop. I can't believe you're spending all the time." I get a message like that and I'm going, "Oh, I can do it another week, you know?"
Yeah. Would you have any estimation of like how many people follow your page or your website?
Yeah. So I have I've had 3 million unique viewers
Oh, wow.
since it started in 2021. I have 15,000 followers on Instagram until they took it down. I wasn't kidding about that. They did take that down.
Yeah. So tell me, how did they find it offensive, dog meat?
Yes. So many people report it, and it always happens when stuff goes viral or when the campaign's doing really well. And so I had a big ad in the London Underground in June, and that caused increased viewers on all of my platforms. And so enough people reported and it was taken down. And usually it's reinstated within a day or two. And this is the first time it's been down. It's been down for 2 weeks. And I've been holding out because that's 2 years of content that I've created and I will lose it. And so today's the day I'm going to start a new Instagram account because I miss it and I have to, so.
But the reason why they were taking it down is because some people reported it.
Yes, people reported that it is offensive. It's criminal activity. It's violence. And it's so funny because the food that I'm showing is pork. It is beef. It is chicken.
Oh, gosh.
And the animals and everything I'm showing is available through iStock. It's all stock photos. Nothing is offensive. And I don't swear and I'm not gory. And when you see I see the absolute goriest things going through farmers' Instagram, and I choose not to show really bloody pictures because I don't think that wouldn't sell my dog meat. So, but to think that is okay. It is okay to show the violent death of deer that we have hunted or a pig that we have slaughtered. We have animals hanging from hooks, and that's fine. But to show a chicken leg and suggest it might be a Chihuahua, horrible, criminal, we must take you down.
It does really show how our double standards is working, right?
Yeah.
So let's go into the less optimistic messages that you're getting, or let's just call it hate mail.
Because my hate mail.
You have been getting. You're still smiling even
I
talking.
love it. It's my favorite thing of my job. I mean, who else gets to say, "I hope I get some hate mail today." Every time I open my email, I'm like, please, please, please.
How many do you get normally in let's say a week? Or a month?
Oh, 5 or 6,
really?
different messages that are different values of hate. Some think it's real, some people who know it's not real and think it's stupid, and then the phone calls. So yeah.
Well, let's play one of those which you've also posted on Facebook, and then we'll get into that. Okay, I've chosen the one where they say, "I hope you get brutally murdered." And
I love that one.
And there's a special place in hell for people like you.
I think I have that one memorized. That one's great.
Y'all are disgusting. I hope somebody shuts you down.
I just want to let you guys all know, please kill yourselves, and I hope your business burns down. Fuck yourself.
I hope you go to hell, and I hope you all have terrible, terrible lives. I hope you get brutally murdered.
When you do get to hell, I'll be the guy with the wings torturing you.
And the only thing I can tell you is there a special place in hell for people like you.
You're the type of people that need to be let in a fucking pit bull pen.
What kind of person do you have to be to openly slaughter dogs and eat them?
So Molly, it's quite interesting to hear these hate mails. In a way, it seems like these people go through the same like disgust as vegans do when
Right?
we slaughter like pigs, right?
Exactly. You know, it's funny when I sometimes post these, I like to post them and say, look at these vegans who called me, because that will appeal to meat eaters who will go, I want to see some vegans acting out. And then they will hear them and they'll be like, ha ha, crazy vegans. And then when they realize what they're calling about, they'll be like, wait a minute, I agree with them.
That's quite interesting. So you basically call the people who send you hate mail, you call them vegans.
Vegans. Yes. Look at these vegans. I say, found the vegan when somebody makes a horrible comment, you know, and I just want, I want them to associate that word with their behavior sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, I mean, they say things like, I hope you get brutally murdered. That's that's the one. I mean, don't you ever get like actually scared?
No, because I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't have a dog. I don't have a dog farm. In order for them to find out who I am, they will find an interview like this and find out that this is all vegan activism. The only time I am nervous is in those immediate interactions with somebody who does, you know, who's in person. You know, by the time someone finds out where I live, it's fine. You know, the first time my first death threat, the farm's first death threat was scary. I was very scared. I thought, what have I done? I own a house and I have renters in it. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, what if they come after my renters? You know, what will happen to me? I mean, that sounds really awful. What will happen to them?
Sure.
But thinking about all of this and going through the process, I feel safe doing it, and I feel it feels worth the risk, I guess.
How do farmers respond to your messaging?
Oh, it's so interesting. Is I've had somebody wrote a blog post about it, and it was funny because I feel like they thought they had a gotcha moment. It felt like they were saying, look at these stupid vegans trying to compare dogs with pigs. But at the bottom, they said, if you do think dogs are like pigs, maybe you shouldn't be eating animals. And I was like, so you agree? They said that that's what Elwood's is getting right, is if you only want to argue about the moral aspect of it, is this ethical? Veganism is the right path. But if you want to ignore all your morals and ethics, then, you know, it doesn't matter. And I was like, thank you for this blog post. That's great.
There was an interview with you on British television after you've launched this. Well, let's first talk about this great campaign, actually, which you've just launched in the Metro Underground. That was in the Underground in London. That was last month, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How many tubes are driving around with your ad?
I believe it was about 2,100 ad placements throughout the London Underground. So it was wonderful because I got to go there, and I went to go find one. I was like, well, maybe, you know, I'll spend a couple hours trying to find an ad. And the first train I got on was on it. And as soon as it came to a stop, I got off and I hopped onto the next car, and it was on that one. And it was on 4 out of 6 on the one train.
Fantastic. And I'm sure you've been observing people in the metro,
watching them look at it and watching them like squint their eyes at it and shake their heads in disgust, or you know, take a picture of it, was really so exciting.
Oh, really? But I did read an interview or actually a newspaper article about this in the UK, which stated that actually most people were confused and thought it was talking about pet food for dogs, right?
Yeah. Well, so it's interesting that people like to say that, even though it has the big line, delicious dog since 1981. That's almost as big as the headline. And what it is, and I have handed these cards, these coupons to people that say specifically humanely slaughtered dog. People they don't want to believe what it is. They want it to be meat from dogs. If it said delicious pigs since 1981, you wouldn't be like, oh, I bet this is food for pigs. We are so conditioned to not think of dogs as meat. And so despite the fact that people say that, they still had to look at it. The point of the ad is to make you think. And it is just weird enough. It's designed just weird enough that you would have to spend time with it. And so I'm amused by those comments, and also point taken that next time maybe I have this logo that is a dog inside a burger, and I'm like, if you need it to be more straightforward, we can, but I really want people to spend time with it. I don't, and I had to put a disclaimer on the ad. I was required to put the disclaimer at the bottom that said, this is not real. And I didn't want that. I want people to be stuck thinking about it and have to go to the website. But
why did you have to put this disclaimer?
It was the approval process for the London Underground. They did not want to. They thought the ad as it was would distress people and drive people to complain. And so we worked together back and forth. It took 4 iterations to get to that final version.
Because I suppose you've paid for this ad, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's quite interesting, actually. How does that work? You just send in like, here, this is the price, and I have this ad, and can you place it next week?
No, I was really lucky. I worked with an ad placement person who has worked with various vegan organizations. So he's my in between person, and so he tells me what they say. He says they say no, and I say, well, let me send you another one. And what's really interesting is they actually told me there was like a final no, we're not going to put this up. It's completely off the table. And I didn't change anything in the ad. I just wrote them a letter that said, don't you think it's important in our lives and in our jobs to do things that make a difference in the world? This could make the difference for billions of animals and people to try and take a risk in your job. And you can take it down anytime you want, but understand that in this moment, you have the chance to make a difference. And they replied, they're like, okay. I said, you have a disclaimer. People aren't going to complain. They'll see they're going to complain because it's vegan. They're not going to complain because you're slaughtering dogs. And they're like, okay, fine.
So there was someone at the London Underground actually having a heart and
yes. I'm very excited that somebody. Yeah. One of the funnest parts also about my job is every aspect of it is activism. Everything I do every day is when I interact with a print shop and I send them my things. I had a print shop in New York City refuse to print my signs because of dog meat. First, he thought I was actually selling it. Then he thought I was lying to him about not selling it. And then he just disagreed with the idea of telling people about it, and he refused. And this is activism. This is making this person have this conversation with me.
Yeah. So let's go back to this person who gave you a go at the London Underground. Do you think he's regretting that decision right now?
No, I think that they're probably, I would like to think they were amused by it. It has that amusing aspect of it that I can't believe that we're having all these conversations about a fake dog meat farm. It's just amusing. Yeah. So no, and it turned out fine, and they didn't take it down. The biggest threat was that if they got too many complaints, they would have to take it down.
But they haven't had any complaints or what?
Well, they haven't told me about them, but I'm going to check in this week.
Okay. And so this is what I wanted to ask you before. So you have been in the UK press. Actually, it's been discussed in one television show where I don't know the name of the guy, but the guy presenting, he said, these things just reinforce the notion that it's an ideology perpetuated by people who are almost cult-like in their belief.
Oh, yes. I love that quote.
Then what is your response, Molly Elwood?
Oh my gosh. What's funny is to present an ad, pretend it was an ad for bacon, and for me to switch the animal, and that makes me a cult member. To switch the animal, and that becomes this crazy ideology reflects back on him. Like, how does he see his consumption of animals as being okay versus a dog? It's just, I don't know. That whole interview was just delicious. The arguments they had were they held no water, and
well, not for you and not for me, but perhaps for the mainstream listeners, these kind of arguments they hit on.
Yeah, but I think that the fact that they're talking about this, and if they agree with that dogs would not be food, and if they actually had to ask themselves what is the difference between a dog and a pig, I welcome anybody to have that conversation, and no matter what they say around it, that's still the core of the message is, what do you as the viewer believe? And if you're somebody who wants to double down on vegans or crazy cult members, I can't do anything to change that. That's not what this campaign's about.
So Molly, you are actually, besides this, communication strategist. I was wondering, is this still like a hobby project that you do in the evenings? Because it's grown really
No.
big.
Yeah, no. So as of January, I do this full time now. And I feel very fortunate. Like, this is just, it's so exciting. It is just me though. So it's really hard. Like, my to-do list is, it just keeps growing, and I'm really fortunate to have volunteers who've been helping with things. And another aspect that has been really exciting is people taking Elwoods and using it themselves. I see all the time people tag people I've never even seen before, met, never knew what was going to happen, doing an Elwood dog meat tasting in their town, in their city, in a place across the globe. People making their posters and putting them up, and just having these conversations with people that I'm foreseeing this becoming like an activism tool. It itself is not everything. It's the beginning for activists to take it and have those conversations themselves.
Yeah. And what is next on your to-do list actually? What's the next
Oh
what's
my
the next
God,
big thing?
I have to build my Instagram account. I have Vegan Dale is a vegan food and music festival in the US. And so I'm going to be in New York City and in Toronto in September. And I am working on this kind of global campaign with these dog meat farms that are I have one in the Netherlands and one in Spain and a few other places that escape me.
So
right
there
now.
is one in the Netherlands?
Yes,
Okay,
there was in the Netherlands.
great.
It's funny because I can't pronounce it.
Okay, we'll post it in the show notes then.
Yes.
And how are you being funded? Because this is starting to cost quite a lot of money, right? Financing the London subway.
Yeah, no, I have a grant actually that I'm working with. So it's been very fortunate that is allowing me to explore the edges of this and see what's possible with a one person staff with all of the ads and things.
Yeah, fantastic. So finally, let me ask you, looking back at this rather silly idea of, I think about 2 years ago, right? When you started. Yeah. What has this project brought you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, personally, it's kind of changed my life. I was a copywriter. I work in advertising. I, execute other people's ideas, or I might come up with an idea and I have to get approval for it. So creatively, it's been so fulfilling to come up with something and then do it, and then go to London and see it on the tube is just overwhelming. It's so exciting, and I've got to meet so many amazing people and feel so hopeful about the future of activism, that it's not static. It is something that can always change, that we can always do more things with, that there is always more ways to reach people. It's not just, investigations, or it's not just protesting in a grocery store, that we can find our skills and do things with them. So it's given me a lot of hope.
Haven't you become cynical about people, about their double morale?
Yes. I mean, I'm just as cynical as before. But I do think that I get a lot out of the positive comments, and I get a lot of hope from the vegans who tell me about the conversations they've had about Elwoods with other people. So I think that as long as it's making a difference, it's, helping me feel hopeful.
Molly Elwood, thank you very much for this interview. Fantastic.
Thank you. It was so great to talk to you.
Yeah, it was. And it's really nice to see how you bring the fun part back into activism. And I guess that's the way to stay, to to stay a jolly and optimistic person yourself as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I guess we
definitely.
can all learn from this. I will post loads and loads of links into the show notes because you have such great content. And well, I guess anyone who wants to facilitate a dog meat tasting in his backyard can kind of use your material, right?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes. If you go to elwooddogmeat.com/farmhands, that's FARMHANDS. Yes, that has a bunch of downloads that you can signs and posters and brochures and tips on how to do it.
Thank you very much. Dat was hem. Dankjewel voor het luisteren. De Vegan Voxpop werd gemaakt door Ernie van Dalen en het audio en design is van Marlon van der Pas. Wil je meer weten over hoe we de stap naar een plantaardige samenleving gaan maken? Volg dan onze podcast. Dank je en tot de volgende.